Good evening, everyone, and a warm welcome to today's session organized by Skillemme. At Skillemme, our mission is to reskill, upskill, and new skill professionals by delivering impactful training that bridges the gap between classroom learning and industry application. So today, we are excited to host a session on VDD framework led by our esteemed speaker, Mr. S.K. Santosh Kumar. With over 19 years of professional experience in training, test automation, project management, and corporate coaching, he has worked with top organizations like Wipro, Infosys, IBM, Dell, and Cognizant, and many more. So he has trained thousands of professionals in Selenium, Cucumber, Java, API testing, agile practices, and advanced automation frameworks. We are honored to have him with us today and to share his expertise and guide us through practical insights into BDD with Cucumber. So over to you, Mr. Santosh.
Yeah, thanks, Patil. Thanks for a nice introduction. Good afternoon, everybody. A warm welcome to this particular session on BDD Demystified, building test automation with Cucumber, Selenium, and Java. So, so I'm as far as the audience you all concerned, right? You might be from the development background or testing background, or you might be from the business background or sales and marketing, etc. Right? So end of the day, what we understand is the gamut of the IT industry, right? It's about building a quality application that can meet the customer expectations and being a service-based company or a product-based company, right? We are into the a business of building the software applications that can cater to the uh, needs of the end users, and that can be in the banking sector or telecom or healthcare sector, whatever sector it could be, and across the globe, it's remains the same. Okay, so let's quickly get into the content of the today's webinar. And for that, let me share my screen and then take you through the PPT. Yeah, hi Patil. I just wanted to know from you if the PPT is
Visible,
visible.
sir. PPT is visible. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. So again, a warm welcome to this particular session on BDD, building test automation with Cucumber, Selenium, and Java. All right. Okay. Yeah, a quick request, Patil, in case if my audio is not clear to you guys, or if the video is not clear to you guys, please let me know so that
I'll
we
do that, sir.
can sort it
I'll do
out. Yeah.
that. Sure, sure, sure.
Yeah. Thank you, Patil. All right. Now, let me quickly run you through the agenda for this particular webinar. So here we go. So primarily, we will be looking at the first, what's the introduction to the BDD in terms of what is meant by BDD and why is BDD required. And then we will go to the Gherkin language basics. And we will look at the Gherkin format there, and then we will look at the Cucumber framework. How what are the components of that, and how do we structure it, and then how do we make use of the Cucumber framework, and then it will be followed by a demo on the Cucumber framework, where I will be demoing a live Cucumber project where you would run the test cases and look at the report from the automation test execution. And then we will move on to the reporting in Cucumber, because once the execution of the test cases happens, right, we would be interested to know which test cases are passing and failing and stuff like that. That will be there. And at the end, Q&A. All right. Yeah. So with that, we will go ahead now with the the first section, which is the introduction to the BDD. So before we actually get into the BDD, right, it would be a good idea to understand what are the challenges the non-technical stakeholders were facing before the introduction of the BDD actually, okay? Right. Now, when we look at the non-technical stakeholders, right, like the stakeholders like the business users, and then the project managers, product owners, and then the uh, a top level management, who are actually a non-technical people. So we mean by that, and that stakeholders, especially the non-technical stakeholders, it would also mean the end users of the application which we are testing. All right. Yeah. So the first and foremost is the challenge that the non-technical stakeholders faced was they were not able to understand what is tested and what is not tested, because before the BDD, right, the test automation consisted of Selenium and Java, or for example, it could be any other tool, not only the Selenium, it could be UFT tool, or it could be a Playwright tool, or anything. Okay. And now coming to the Selenium, since Selenium works with various languages, right, like JavaScript, Java, C Sharp, Python, etc. So now we are talking about the uh, test automation script, which is in this case, since we're talking about Selenium and Java, I would be making use of those things repeatedly. Otherwise, it's applicable to different tools and different programming languages, the specific tools support. So the test automation script consisted of Selenium written in Java actually. So Java is understandable only by the development team and the test automation engineers. Okay. Now, apart from that, even manual testers would not understand Selenium. The project managers, the product manager, they would not understand the Selenium script that is written actually. Yeah. So because of that, the non-technical stakeholders, for them, it is very difficult to go through the automation script and understand what is tested and what is not tested. Rather, I would say it is just not possible for them to uh, understand what is tested and what is not tested there. Yeah, that's the first challenge that they used to face. The next is coming specifically to the product owner, because product owner is the most important a role in the development of the entire product, because he is whole and soul in charge of defining what features needs to go into the product at what point in time. Yeah. Now, for a product owner, it's very important to review the automation coverage, and then to understand what features have been tested and what features are not being tested. Now, in each feature and functionality as well, what are the test cases that are being covered as part of the automation, what is not covered as part of the automation, right? So he wants to make sure before he can give a green signal that the product is good enough to go to the next stage. So because he's unable to review the automation script, he is not able to make sure, or understand what are the functional requirements that are tested and what are not tested. Yeah. Now, moving on to the next challenge, right? Now, there is a kind of a communication gap, or a lack of feedback actually that existed there, because the business team is not able to really understand correctly what functionality of the product is being tested or covered as part of the automation and what is not. Okay. And hence, they are not able to give a feedback in terms of you can prioritize the testing of certain features, or you can deprioritize the testing of certain features based on the budget constraints and the time constraints actually. Yeah. So they are not in a position to, especially the business side of people, right? They were not in a position to give a feedback to the test automation team. Missed requirements. So here, during the discussions between the business team and then the development team and the QA test automation team, right? Actually, because of this communication gap, many times it used to happen that a particular requirement was missed from the test coverage. So some one requirement could be completely missed, or part of the requirement is missed from the test automation coverage, and it was not tested. And if there were any bugs in that particular not tested part of the requirements, so that would result in a bug slippage, and hence that bug was found by the end users, which is a worst thing to happen. The next is for the business users, right? There was no business readable document that talked about the coverage of the entire testing. So these were the various challenges that were faced by non-technical stakeholders before the BDD. Now let's move on. Let's understand what is BDD. See, BDD stands for Behavioral Develop. This is a software development process, okay, wherein the things like or the development a process like waterfall and V model, right? So similarly, this is a software development process wherein it encourages a collaborative approach. That means the various roles which are there in the entire gamut of the software development lifecycle, plus the software sales and marketing other roles, right? So basically it encourages the collaborative approach across different roles. And then by collaboratively working, the various teams like your product management team, then the development team, testing team, and the business team, and even the sales and marketing team, wherever applicable, right? They have to come together and they should be able to collaboratively define the requirements so that everybody is aware about what are the functional requirements that we are talking about as far as the product is concerned. And it encourages a collaborative approach of testing them and then understanding what part of the product or what features in the product are very stable, and what features of the product are highly important from a customer point of view and a market point of view, and what features and are less critical, like that, right? Now once that information is equally available to everybody, the prioritization in testing becomes easier. And the core essence or the core idea of BDD is to bridge the gap between the technical and non-technical stakeholders. The gap was existing because of the communication gap, because the non-technical stakeholders, they cannot understand the Selenium and Java and the technical jargon that these technical people use. And BDD also promotes maintaining a living document of executable specification, and the living document which can be understood by technical as well as the non-technical stakeholders, and that is written in a common language. So that these are the things where the BDD focuses on, and it tries to implement them in the project. So moving forward, let's look at why do we need BDD. The key advantage is the improved collaboration between the technical and the non-technical stakeholders of the organization who are involved in the entire product life cycle, right from the conception to the release in the market. Now, it promotes improved documentation as we have seen earlier. This point of improved documentation will be more clear when we get into the architecture of the BDD and the Cucumber framework. Now it focuses on the user and the application behavior. Now, if you look at the waterfall model and V and V, right, they focused on a different phased-wise approach, and then the focus on the user and application behavior was lost. Okay. Now, the BDD brings the focus back to the user behavior and the application behavior, because for a success of any product in the market is how much the product meets the end user requirements, and then how much the user delight it brings onto. Okay. That's why it's important to focus on the user behavior and the user expectations, and at the same time how well the application behaves in accordance with the user expectation and the user behavior, right? That's also very important, which keeps the customers happy. So hence the one of the key things on BDD is it completely brings the focus right onto the user and the application behavior. Now, here in BDD, it brings a better traceability between the requirements and the automation test scripts, actually, which was very much not there in the waterfall or V&V model. Since there is a component called as a features file in the BDD, which we will see when we get into the Cucumber, the requirements are very well captured there, and then it's very well documented and very well visible to the various stakeholders. And of course, with all the required requirements captured properly, being communicated properly, and having a tight communication between the various stakeholders, right? It all results into a better code quality, which eventually leads to the better customer satisfaction, and that eventually leads to the better sales of the product, and which eventually leads to better revenue and profits to the company. Now, moving on to the important aspect of the entire BT is the Gherkin language. Now, if you look at Gherkin as a language, it provides a certain set of grammar rules which needs to be utilized, in making a feature file, and that particular grammar rules needs to be followed. And second thing is it consists of a plain English like text. Actually, it's more of an English text itself. So, and because of that, the entire BDD becomes readable and understandable by even the non-technical stakeholders. And the Gherkin language that is written using this English text and the grammar rules, right, that becomes understandable by the Cucumber. So next is what we will be getting into in some time. Now, if you look at the Gherkin language, right, the syntax or the keywords which are used by the Gherkin language are as follows. The first and foremost is the feature, that is nothing but a list. It's a description of the features which are documented in the feature file. And the next one is the scenario, which is basically a description of the test scenario that is being automated there. And then the different user actions actually are stated as steps. And then each step has to be starting with one of these keywords, which is given, when, and then. So in a short while in the webinar, I will be actually giving a demo of a Cucumber framework, and there we will have an example, so that there we will get a clearer understanding of these keywords of a feature, scenario, and the given, when, and then. Yeah. So with this, we will move on to the next slide. Now, here is an example of a Gherkin language where the feature, scenario, and then the other keywords of the Gherkin are used. Now, when we use the feature, okay, it basically, we need to describe what is the feature which is being automated here and which is being tested here. So in this example, it is the user login that is being automated and tested. The keyword scenario briefly provides what functionality exactly is being tested, which is part of the feature. A feature can have multiple, one or many scenarios actually. Now, in this case, see, when we talk about login, right, we can test the login for a valid credentials where a user enters a valid username and a valid password. And then we also need to test other scenarios like a user entering either an invalid username or an invalid password, wherein the login is expected to fail and give an error message, right? So that is covered in a different scenario. So here, what you can see on the screen, we are focusing on a scenario where user is entering a valid credentials. Now, so next, the third line is the given. The user is on the login page. The keyword given, it provides the current state of the application under test, or it provides the web page which has to be displayed on the screen. Yeah. So it says the given the user is on the login page. That means that currently the login page needs to be displayed. When the keyword when, it says here in this statement, when the user enters a valid username and password. In this case, the statement which follows the when keyword, it is essentially the user actions of the uh, tester or the user. Okay. And it also contains the test data that needs to be entered by the user on the application under test. Okay. And lastly, the keyword then, it says here in this case, then the user should be redirected to the dashboard or a home page. So essentially here, the keyword then, what follows it is the behavior of the application or the different state of the application where it moves to after the user does the user action and enters the test data on the application. Yeah. So just to summarize these statements, right? Now, if you look at the given, when, and then, these last three statements, if you look at, initially the login page is displayed. That's what the given page is, given keyword is talking about. After that, the user is entering the username and password. Okay, and obviously he'll do a login button click. And once that is done, the dashboard or the homepage of the application needs to be displayed. Yeah. So this is a brief example of the Gherkin language and then the different keywords that are used in the Gherkin language. So we will move on to the next. So now let's look at, as part of the Cucumber framework, what exactly is Cucumber? So basically, Cucumber is a tool which supports the BDD. Now, to have the Cucumber, when we are using the, technically speaking, when we're using a project, Java project, inside IDE like your Eclipse, okay? Now, in the Eclipse IDE, we have a Java project or a Maven project, and this BDD, to support the BDD by Cucumber, right, we need to install the Cucumber add-in over there. Yeah. Now, what essentially happens in Cucumber is when we execute a project, actually, it executes the Gherkin scenarios. The scenario that we just saw in the previous slide, that's example of a Gherkin scenario, which is written in the Gherkin language. Okay. And now this Cucumber is able to execute the Gherkin scenarios. So that is how the Cucumber that supports BDD and the Gherkin scenarios are listed in the file. And when we execute it, the Cucumber is able to understand the Gherkin scenarios and execute them. Yeah. That's how the test automation happens. Now, moving forward, let's look at the Cucumber architecture. Now, Cucumber essentially consists of the first component, which is the feature files. Now, feature files actually are the files in the Eclipse project of Cucumber framework, which is having an extension called as feature. And then these feature files contain the different features that are tested, which is related to the product. And there are automation scripts testing these particular features actually. So again, when we look at the demo, you'll get a clear understanding of what a feature file is and then how it actually works. So moving further, let's look at the step definition. Essentially, step definition is the Selenium Java methods actually. Now, if you look at the previous slide, right, let's go back to the previous slide. Now, in this case, now as you can see, 5 different lines here. The first line is a feature which gives a description of the feature that is being tested. The second line is a scenario, which is the test scenario which is being tested. And then the third, fourth, and fifth lines, right, they essentially are called as steps. So in this case, the scenario has 3 steps. Okay. Yeah. Now, when we come to this Cucumber, right, we're talking about step definitions. Now, the feature file contains the steps, okay, and then for every step there's a step definition. Now, in simple words, step definition is nothing but the Selenium Java methods which actually gets executed, and it is a Selenium Java code that interacts with the application under test by entering the test data or by clicking on the button. Okay, and then it's the Selenium Java methods that actually checks the actual behavior of the application by reading the text from there or by reading the other details of the web page which is listed on the or which is displayed on the screen. So moving forward, the third and the last important component is called the test runner. So test runner essentially is actually either we use a test-ng or a JUnit actually to make the test runner file. Now, test runner file actually triggers the execution and it provides certain details which are important and which are required for the execution of the automated test cases actually. So this also we would be looking at when we get into the demo part in more detail. All right. So post that, let's move on to the Q&A if you have anything, or else I would like to show you the Cucumber framework, which is basically a hands-on part. Yeah, hi Patil. May I know if I have changed the screen. I just want to make sure a different screen is visible.
Yes, sir. It's visible. It's visible.
Okay, thank you, Patil.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have discussed earlier about the feature file and then the scenario and the different steps there, right? So this is a live project. Okay, let me just explain you about the project and then we'll get into this particular components of the Cucumber framework. Now, this particular project is a Maven project. Okay, as you can see here. So I would first would like to just give a brief details about that so that you get you get an information about what setup is required to run the Cucumber framework. So this is the POM file, which is the integral part of a Maven project. Now, these are the different dependencies that are required. So we would need the Selenium dependency, then the Cucumber dependency for Java. Since we're using Selenium Java, so we would need the Cucumber Java dependency to be installed. And then we would also need this dependency of Cucumber test-ng, because in this case, in the runner file, we are making use of the test-ng. And then of course we would need the test-ng software for this thing to work. And for the reporting purposes, we need this report-ng dependency as well. So these are the dependencies that are required. Now, so let's get into the feature file. Yeah. Now, as you can see here, feature is a keyword of the Gherkin, and then the scenario is the keyword of the Gherkin, given, when, and then. These are all the keywords of the Gherkin language. Now, as far as the syntax is concerned, right, the feature needs to be followed by a semicolon. Similarly, this scenario needs to be followed by the semicolon. Now, as you can see here, after this given, when, and then, there's no semicolon. Okay. So this is the syntax that is mandated by the Gherkin. Or you can say the grammar that is mandated by the Gherkin. So now, so feature, this is a brief description of the feature actually. Now, in case if the description is longer, yes, you can give a longer description also here so that the end user has a better understanding about what exactly is the feature we are talking about and what exactly is the feature that we are testing as part of this test automation. And then the next one is the scenario wherein this particular talks about what is the scenario that we're testing. So as we discussed earlier, right, in the login case, in the feature of login, we need to test the login wherein the user enters a valid credentials, and we would also need to test the scenario, a different scenario wherein the user enters the invalid credentials. So when you say invalid credentials, it could be invalid username, invalid password, or both of them are invalid, or one of them can be blank. So all that is part of the invalid credentials actually. Yeah. Now, as we discussed earlier, the given keyword, okay, it states the current state of the application or the current web page which is displayed. Okay. Now, since it's a login scenario, for a user to be able to enter a username and password and click on the login button, first and foremost, the login page needs to be displayed. If the login page is not displayed, user is unable to enter the username and password and click the login button. So that way, we can also say that for to give more details about the given, right? For a user to be able to perform the user action, now given gives or given keyword specifies what is the web page that needs to be displayed. All right. Okay. So with that, we will move on to the next one. Now the line number 7, now which is highlighted by the blue, right? So that particularly gives us what user action is being done and what test data is being utilized. So in this case, user is entering a valid username and a valid password. So two things, we are combining two user actions here into a single statement here. And then here the user is making use of two test data. The first one is the username and the second one is the password. Once the entering is done by the user, then the next statement, line number 8, which is now highlighted in blue, it says when user clicks on login button. So user is clicking on the login button as part of this step. And once the login button is clicked, if there is no bug in the application, we are expecting the login to be successful. Okay. And then once the login is successful over there, we want to see that the particular user email ID is displayed, which is used to do the login. Yeah. Okay. Now, before we get into more details of this, I would like to just manually do this once on the application under test and then show you so that you get a better understanding about what I'm talking about. Yeah. So in this case, as you can see, right, when I open this particular URL, now we are on the login page. Here, the details needs to be given. The email ID and the password can be entered over here. As you can see, this is the email field and the password field. And then we have the login button over here. Yeah. And this is what has been written in the individual steps here, 3 steps. All right. Yeah. Now given talks about the login page being displayed. Now, what we will do is, first I would like to run this test case by going to the test runner file. Okay, we will see the login happening, and then I would like to take time and explain in more detail about the other components of the Cucumber framework. Yeah, I'll just execute it now. And after that, I will explain all the different components of this runner file and the other file. So we are using a test ng here. That's why we need to run as a test ng test. So let's wait. Now the application is going to launch. Yeah, so it's launching now. Okay. So I hope you were all able to see that the browser was launched, and then the Cucumber framework actually entered the email ID, entered the password, and clicked on the login button. So in case if it is missed or if it is too fast, let me do it again so that it would be visible. So this is a runner file which is named as test runner. So let me show you here. So on the left side, you can see the different folder structure of the Maven project. And then I'm just double clicking on the test runner file here. This is the runner file. The name of the runner file is test runner. So I'll just run it as a test ng. Yeah. Okay. So you can expect to see a icon of a Chrome browser here on this taskbar in a while. Yeah. Now you can see the browser being launched. Now you can see the login page, and you can see that the with the help of the Cucumber framework, we were able to launch the browser, we were able to enter the username and password, and then we were able to click on the login button. Yeah. So once that is done, the application is in this state wherein the login is successfully happened. Now, can you see this? The email ID satish999 at gmail.com. That was the email ID that was used to log into this particular application that is being displayed here. So now, once these three first steps are done, right? Now in the ninth step here, what is that we want to do is we want to verify that the user email ID is displayed. Okay, that is this email ID we're talking about. Okay, yeah, we want to verify that. All right. Now, this is the first component, one of the major component of the Cucumber framework called the feature file. Yeah. Now let's look at the next component of the Cucumber, which is the step definition. All right. Now, let's try to understand what is a step and what is a step definition in more detail. Now, under this scenario, there are four different steps. So line number 6, 7, 8, and 9. These are the four steps actually that needs to be performed. Now, corresponding to this, right, when we want to execute these four steps, for every step which is written over here, there is a corresponding Selenium method that is executed. So for example, the first one, the line number 6, this first step, right, where we are saying given the login page is displayed. So for this, the corresponding Selenium Java method that is executed is this one, which is from line number 13 to 17. So here, given the login page is displayed, and that is the, I will explain you how the pattern matching happens there. This is done by pattern matching. Okay. And the Java Selenium method that we're talking is, the name of the Java Selenium is method is the home page is displayed. Okay, which is in the line number 14, and I have highlighted the name of that particular Selenium Java method by using the blue color. So that's the name of the method. So that is being executed, and once that is being executed, launch Chrome is a user defined method it launches the Chrome browser, and it launches this particular URL. All right. Yeah. Now, so the next step here is user enters valid username and password. Now, when we say that the user enters the valid username and password, right? So it is that step is having the step definition here from line number 24 to 27 in this Eclipse. Yeah. Now, this particular method gets executed for that particular step. Okay. And here the name of the method is user enters valid name and password. Now, in this case, the name of the method can be anything, because the Cucumber, when it executes the Gherkin's feature file, it does not call the method by the name of the method. Rather, it makes use of the pattern matching, and it matches the pattern which is written in this particular line number 24. Now, see, in this case of the line number 6, right, it said given the login page is displayed. Now, it will look for that particular keyword given, and it will look for the pattern, the string, the login page is displayed. That's how it identifies which Selenium Java function it needs to execute in this login steps.java file for every step which is mentioned in the feature file. Now, once the user enters the username and password, okay, I would like to repeat that line since it's very important. Now, it is having a list of steps here, and the list of methods that needs to be executed is given in this login steps.java file, which is under the package on the left. I'm now referring to the left-hand side of the Maven of the Eclipse here, where we can see the different components and different folders in the Maven project. Now, as part of this source test Java, first is we have this runner package, then we have the step definition package. Okay. Now under the step definition package, we have this login steps.java file. Now this file login steps.java, it contains the step definitions. Step definition is nothing but the methods which contain the Selenium Java script. Now, when the Cucumber executes these steps, right, at that time, it looks for the methods which are in this step definition file, and it has to map a particular step in the feature file to the Selenium Java methods in the login step file. Okay. And the mapping happens with the help of the string that is written over here. Okay. And it does not make use of the name of the function in line number 25. Yeah. So this is an important point, and hence I wanted to repeat that. Hope that helps you all. Yeah. Now coming back to the feature file. Now the line number 8 states when user clicks on the login button. Now corresponding to this particular step, we will look at the step definition file here. Step definition in the steps file. So this is the step definition from line number 30, 31, and 32, which is mapped to that particular step, and this gets executed. Yeah. And post that, we have this last step here. Then user email ID is displayed. So in this line number or the step, this fourth step, which is the line number 9 in this feature file, we want to verify that the correct email ID is displayed. Okay. Yeah. So let's look at how we take care of that. So let me make more space here. Yeah. So here, line number 34, 35, 36, 37 till 39, that is the corresponding step behavior for the last step of the feature file. here we are actually, in line number 37, we are actually getting the actual profile name that is displayed on the application once the login is successful. So yeah, here I am showing you the web page where it is the name Satish999 is displayed, right? So we are capturing that particular string satish999@gmail.com in this line number 37, and then in line number 38 we are mentioning the expected profile name actually. All right, so in the line number 39 we are comparing the expected and the actual profile name. If both of them are same, the assertion will pass and the test case will pass. Yeah. Okay. So once this execution is done, then actually it produces a report file. So let me just refresh this particular project so that we have the report file here. Now, report, I hope you're able to see this target folder. Under the target folder, we have a folder called cucumber-reports. Under this folder, cucumber-reports, we can see that it has created a report.html file. So let me open that report.html file in a web browser so that we can look at the contents of that. Yeah. So as you can see here, right, this is the reports file that we're talking about, and this is the feature. It's given the feature, listed the feature that we have given in the feature file. Okay, and then under that there are 4 steps here, and it gives, for each of the step, it gives the corresponding result. Now as you can see, there is a given, when, and then these keywords are there. Now before this keyword there is a green tick mark. Yeah, so this green tick mark, okay, if you can follow my mouse, you should be able to see this green tick mark. Now this green tick mark shows that the particular step has passed. Okay, if the particular step fails, then the green tick mark would be not there. Instead of that, red would be there. Yeah, so it was last executed 10 minutes ago. It took about 17 minutes, sorry 17 seconds. That's the duration of the execution. And then we are making use of the Cucumber version 7.14, and this gives the details of the JDK that we're using, and then the operating system, and then the percent pass. Yeah, so these are the details that are shown in the HTML report. So this is a default report generated by the Cucumber. Now it also gives us flexibility to go ahead with different other types of reports. Okay, and unfortunately due to the constraint of time, we will not be able to get into the other formats of the reports. So this is the report which is generated by the Cucumber. Now, moving on, one last important uh, component of the Cucumber framework that we need to discuss, which is the runner file. Now, runner file initiates the execution, and then runner file gives certain details. That means we need to provide certain details in the runner file so that Cucumber can execute the entire scenarios. So let's look at that. Now, this abstract test-ng Cucumber tests, it is a built-in class provided by test-ng, and we need to inherit from that. Yeah, so our test runner class is inheriting from that particular built-in test-ng class. Now we are making use of the add Cucumber options here, and inside that we are providing all the details. So let's look at those details. One is the features. So features is a keyword here, okay, wherein all the letters are small, okay, and then this particular path mentions the location where Cucumber can find the feature files. So let me show you the feature file here. Now on the left hand side of the Eclipse here, okay, you can see these things. All right. Now, yeah, this is the features folder. Under the features folder, we have this one_login.features. This is the feature file actually. Okay. Now this features folder can have a number of feature files. Yeah, currently we have only one feature file. Now, as part of the test runner, we need to specify the path where it can find the feature files. Yeah. Now, this is the path. So it starts from the source here. Okay. Now, source test. Okay. Source test resource folder. Under that, we have the features folder. Under that, under the features folder, we have this one underscore login dot feature file. Yeah. Now, so as you can see here, the source test resource, and under that features folder, under that we have the feature files. Yeah. And then glue is another keyword that needs to be used, which specifies the location where the step definition files are present in the project. Okay. Now that is present here. Yeah. So can you see this step definition, step def package name? So that's the package name. Step def is the package name, which is given in the line number 7 for the glue keyword. And it means that all the step definition files are present under that particular package called step def. And then this is a plugin. This is to specify the location where the HTML file needs to be stored, which is nothing but the report that is generated by the Cucumber framework after the execution of the scenario that we have mentioned in the features file. Okay, we have just some time back seen that particular HTML file. Yeah, for your benefit, I'm just showing it again. All right. Yeah. And then tags. Now tags basically is, now in the feature file, you might have a number of scenarios. You might have some 5 or 10 or 30 or 50 scenarios in a particular feature file. Now let's assume that we have 25 scenarios in the feature file, and out of 24 scenarios, let's say we want to execute only 5 of them. Okay. Now what we can do is, we can put the tag just before the scenario keyword. Okay. At set1 is the name of the tag here. Now it will execute, the runner file will pick up only those scenarios in the feature file which are having this tag called as set1. Only those scenarios with the tag called set1 will be executed, and other scenarios will be ignored and they will not be executed. Yeah. So by this, we can do execution of only selected scenarios which are required. For example, this is useful maybe in no defect retesting. Now, once the particular defect is fixed, right, and we want to execute certain set of test scenarios which are related to the defect that is fixed. Okay. Or it can be utilized in regression test, different types of regression testing. I mean, regression testing of different features, or even the sanity testing. So that is your tag. If the tag is not mentioned, we can just double code. If tag is not mentioned, right, it will execute all the scenarios which are listed in the uh, feature file here. Okay. So this comes to the end of the webinar on the Cucumber using Selenium and Java. Okay, so thanks for the being there. And just to recap what we have discussed, right? Now, first we started with understanding, what are the challenges the end users, especially the non-technical stakeholders and the end users face in the absence of BDD. Then actually we went on with the introduction with the BDD. We understood what exactly is BDD. Yeah. And then we went on to understand why do we need BDD. That means what are the specific advantages that we get from the BDD. And then later on, we moved on to the Gherkin language. So what exactly is Gherkin language, and what does it contain? And then we have looked at a few keywords that are used by the Gherkin language. And we looked at a simple example of a Gherkin language, wherein we took an example of a user using a valid credentials and successfully logging onto the application. And as part of the Cucumber, we looked at what is Cucumber is, and we looked at the architecture of the Cucumber. Yeah. And of course, we looked at the demo of a Cucumber framework with a simple example of the user logging in with valid credentials. Yeah. Thanks a lot for being there in the webinar. So that's all from my side here. Unless if there are any questions, I'm open for questions in case if any questions are there.
Thank you, Mr. Santosh Kumar, for such an enriching session on BDD with Kukumar. Your practical knowledge and structured approach truly brought clarity to this important framework. So at Skillemme, we believe that knowledge is the foundation for professional excellence. And sessions like these are a reflection of a commitment to empower learners with skills needed to excel in today's fast-changing world. So I thank you once again for taking time out of your busy schedule and on a weekend to share your knowledge with our learners. And looking forward to many more sessions like this. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Patil. Thanks a lot for sharing this invite and the opportunity. I'm always, it's my pleasure to share my experience and my knowledge with the other learners, and definitely it's a win-win for everybody. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Good day. Good day.
Yeah, good. Yeah.